The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer inebriation is advised, though not mandatory.
Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to a very special last call. Tonight we are going to be talking about a very serious topic, men's mental health. Did you know that June is Men's Mental Health Month? I mean, before I brought it up. I know some other intersectional groups are louder and prouder, but it's the ones that suffer in silence that really need your compassion the most. We're going to be talking about that and more. So pull up a chair, join me in a drink or two, and let's talk about something crucial to not just half the population of the world, but the whole population of the world. We'll get started right after a brief primer. Salud. Yeah, I hate starting out a last call, on what seems like a pretty down note, but I think this is a serious topic. I think we really need to address it. June is more than half over now, and I think a lot of you might not have even realized that June is Men's Mental Health Month. Everyone else goes on and on about every other reason to be aware of things during June, but probably the one that needs to be talked about the most isn't. But let me bring in the reason that I stay relatively sane. My lovely wife, Netter of Netter's Network. How you doing, my dear? What you sipping on?
I thought you were going to talk about the bottle of wine behind you was your reason for going on.
Not at all. Not at all. That's why I'm taking it easy tonight.
Yeah, it's like, I'm actually just drinking water right now, but I might switch to a Diet Dr. Pepper because I've had a day.
Yes, you have. You want to fill everybody in? They've been thinking about you and praying for you.
Okay. Well, first, I want to, excuse me, I want to thank everyone who did pray for me, send well wishes, good thoughts, all that, good vibes, all that stuff my way. I think it helped. So the exam was 120 questions. You needed 8% or more to pass. I got 90 out of 120 correct, which unfortunately is only 75%. So I didn't pass, but I think I did pretty darn good. And my boss even said that she wasn't expecting people to pass. She just wanted us to go through the experience. But still, 90 out of 120 for something I know nothing about, I think I did pretty darn good. So thank you all so much. That was so encouraging. Just seeing you guys in my chat last night, tell me I got this and all this and the prayers and well wishes and everything going my way. So thank you so much because I don't know if I would have gotten that much without it. And Trey owes me ribs. He's getting them for me tomorrow.
I am getting her ribs from a place by us called Muggs. Not a sponsorship, just she really likes them.
They have the best ribs. They literally fall apart in your mouth.
They really are good. It's supposed to be a ribs and pizza place. I'm not sure we've ever had pizza from there.
Oh, I have. It's not that.
It's not?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I'll stick to Rosati's.
It's like
also not a sponsorship.
It's like Domino's cardboard pizza.
Absolutely. And speaking of men's mental health, one of the things we'll be talking about is the importance of friendships, close friendships, especially with other men. Here's one of my closest male friends.
Well, thank you.
Boomer.
I appreciate that.
How you doing,
One day
my
we'll
friend?
have to meet face to face.
Absolutely.
Has to happen.
Absolutely.
But welcome everybody. Curtis Selby's. I'm doing okay. I got myself a Coke here because I got to get up early for work tomorrow. But I'll hang out here for the.
We may even make this a shorter stream tonight.
No, you don't have to. I mean, I could stay till a little past midnight.
I may not go as long as usual. We'll just see where the conversation takes us.
Curtis Selby, though, had a super chat for you.
See that.
And he makes a very important statement because as much as older men are, and I'm not trying to discount what they go through, young men too also. Let's not.
That's how you bring it up. Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to learn this. Thank you. That was very generous of you, Curtis Selby. Young men are really taking a mental beating these days. We are definitely going to be let's face it. That is the primary crux of what we're going to be talking about tonight. And thank you. That is very, very generous of you, my friend. I super appreciate the super chat. Let's go back to the beginning and say hi to everyone, starting with, of course, Connie Cleary, the bird woman of YouTube. Welcome. And by the way, Connie just kind of actually, not realizing she did, reminded me. I've updated my description, my stock description in the down there to make sure that I am including all of the Blue Wrenches as being part of the staff, as well as all my members. You are all listed down below. Thank you so much. And my regulars and my VIPs have had a chance to already see a video that I shared out to you guys exclusively, but all of you all will get to see it tonight. I have created a new closing credits to thank everybody who makes all of these streams happen. Wouldn't happen without the support you guys give me. So thank you so much. Curtis Selby, again, thank you again so much, my friend. And Enigma Severus. Okay, well, I'll just wait here on the chat bench. Well, yeah, wait until we get here. But thank you so much for hanging out and waiting for us. David Pensack, hello there, last call with Troy Petrelli. Let's test your mental abilities by blindfolding you and try to identify the bottles on the Carnarvon wagon. That would be a trick, because I gotta be honest with you, they change on a weekly basis. What's behind the bar over here? What's on the Carnarvon wagon upstairs? Netter would actually be a better one to tell me. In fact, I will do that. I will go, oh, I was going to have a whiskey drink tonight, but I'm out of whiskey. And she's like, no, you're not. And she'll go right to where it is, and she'll pull it out. See? Oh, okay. Then I'll still say, echo that. Put this on my Binnies list. Let's see here. Bear with me. Big Al presents. Hello, my friends. Have a great stream. Yes. Salute. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Sir Torrin Clegane. Good evening. Let's see. Salute to deleted scenes. Yes, we know. You came to hang out on the chat bench. Yep, hang out as long as you like. We super appreciate having you here. And, of course, the lovely Netter of Netter's Network. Said hi to you earlier, but hello again, and I love you.
I love you, too. Isn't that a coincidence?
It is a darn good coincidence. It's a case of real synchronicity. Let's see here. Keely Chow, saw you earlier today, and I actually don't remember which chat we were in together, but salute. It might have been Midnight's Edge. Let's see here. Let's see. Bear with me, everyone. I think I'm caught up. So glad someone thinks the same thing about Domino's. Oh, you must have been talking about Domino's.
Yeah, because I said it tastes like cardboard. So Sir Torrin said, that. And then I said, yeah, Domino's pizza is flat and tastes like cardboard with cheese and tomato paste on it.
I honestly, I had it once when I was a kid.
I've never
Didn't
liked
care
it.
for
Really?
it. Somebody said that that's what a lot of people said. So they had someone in from marketing and they, changed it around. And I still never went back,
They have changed things over there, but I get it every so often. It's a go-to, but
you know what I haven't had in a long time, and we got to maybe do this in the coming weeks. Little Caesars pizza.
I was just talking about that. I said we usually get Rosati's or Little Caesars.
Mm-hmm.
they have the little they have commercials now. They have those little puffs you can buy for lunch, like they like these cupcakes that are like pepperoni and cheese in them. It's
that sounds
I
pretty
haven't
cool.
seen there advertised. Yeah,
Sounds like an Americanized version of a calzone, but
probably yeah. But I guess you can get them just to go. You don't have to wait for them or anything.
So thank you all for coming by. Yeah, so June is, among other things, Men's Mental Health Month. And let me get this out right now because if I had the opportunity, see, you guys know I got the monetization and all that, but it's the minimum level monetization. I don't make the AdSense.
Right.
And as a result, I still don't have to worry about, whether this is ad friendly or not, right? I'm sure YouTube's maybe looking a little closer at the channel than they were before, but the point is, you can turn on and off monetization on a specific stream if you, in regards to AdSense. I can't do that because, they're all still technically demonetized in regards to AdSense. Otherwise, I would have, demonetized this particular stream because I am not pulling any punches with the language. I am not talking around it. I will say this once, and you will never hear this phrase again tonight from me. Self-deletion. I am not using that phrase. I am not talking around things. I'm going to be direct. So that would get this stream demonetized if I was getting ad revenue, which I'm not. So
Right.
Real quick, let me say hi to Matt Anui, who I saw just stepped in, and Big Al was thanking Deleted Scenes. They watched Star Crash this evening. I'm sure it was an awesome stream. I will have to catch that on the rewatch. Let's see here. And saying hi to each other. I super appreciate seeing you guys doing that. So I'm going to ask you again, Aged Boomer. How you doing today?
Well, that's a loaded question, isn't it? I guess the Europeans don't like that question. Did you know that that's a very American thing? How you doing? Because I guess it's a very personal thing.
It absolutely is.
Today I'm doing okay. I'll say that. Yeah. Okay. I think I can say that honestly. Okay.
There you go. And you mean it honestly.
Yes. Am I doing okay every day? Not necessarily. Some days I feel down in the dumps. I usually try to right myself. You know, sometimes I have to think about why I'm down in the dumps and have to right myself. But, you know, I get, especially these days with men too, especially with the young men, it's probably, especially not with algorithms and other things that
does not help. That's absolutely true.
It's probably, they're probably not doing so hot.
You say you realize and you have to right yourself. What kinds of ways do you go about that? What do you do to pick yourself up?
Oh wow. Okay, let me think about this for a minute. Well, I think I'll think about why I'm upset, and then it doesn't necessarily have a solution, but maybe I'll try to do something constructive. Like today, I worked on the good old days for Sunday, so I got that out of the way because I'm going to be meeting a friend on Sunday, so. I want to get some of that stuff out of the way. But yeah, I don't know. I hate to say this. I mean, we talk a lot about on this channel the whole geek hobbies thing, right?
True. Absolutely.
And why we get into this. And I think for a lot of us, I'm not going to say these things like our hobbies. I think sometimes they were used to kind of right ourselves a little bit after we had a rough day, with
that's true.
relationships or anything else. You'll still have these things to fall back on, whether it's a game or movie series you like or a comic book. You'd have that to kind of redirect yourselves. I mean, I don't know if women do the same thing. I know men tend to, or sports, they'll get involved in sports and stuff like that. But yeah, that's why when those things are under attack, that's sort of how I got involved in all this.
I think you hit on something very, very clever there. There is clearly in the West right now this huge push, and it's been creeping up on us for over a generation, maybe the past 2 generations. Real quick, let me say hi to Logical Spark. Welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Geekdom used to be a secure safety net, but not anymore. And that's what I was about to point out. You're absolutely right. Our pop culture is our refuge, right? And what is under attack? Pop culture, the nuclear family, right? Religion, everything in our lives
to bind you to something,
keep us grounded, keep us connected, person to person. Neo-Marxism, Marxism in general, is about destroying relationships, dividing people, making them feel insecure. That there is nowhere they can turn to except what? The state, right? Yeah. It is literally cult mentality. Anyone who knows how cults work, a cult gets you by yourself, tells you you gotta separate from your family. Your family doesn't understand you. Your friends, they don't understand you. Only we can help you. Give over all of your money to us. Give over your children to us. right? And don't read those books. Don't watch those movies, right? Only the things we approve of, right? So that's the kind of war we've got going on right now. And it's literally in every corner of life right now. And who is the cornerstone they want to bring down? The men, right?
Yeah.
The men that would stand up, the men that would lead, the men that would fight.
Oh, yes. This reminds me of an episode of Millennium. One of the few recurring villains on that show was a woman named Lucy Butler, who probably wasn't a woman at all. It was probably something more demonic. Okay.
Yeah.
But in one episode, she kidnaps this guy and this teenager, and she throws him in a cell, and she keeps playing this horrible, like, elevator style music. And there are other boys in there too. And they don't know why she's doing this. And what she's trying to do, she's trying to demoralize future leaders. For instance, this kid, he wasn't necessarily the best student, not a genius, probably, but he stayed with his dad instead of going away with his rich mom, because his dad probably needed him more. So that's why when he gave him the choice, basically he had certain moral qualities, certain leadership qualities that would be good maybe in a future crisis. So she was trying to take all these future leaders and demoralize them. And that kind of reminds me of what you're talking about here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And welcome, Final Fantasy fan 012. Yes, you're absolutely right. They go for the father first, take him out, then the mother. Well, actually, it's not even quite that. It's far more on all fronts. They've taken over our schools, so they're going after the kids, right? And they're telling these kids, if your parents don't understand you, if they don't listen to you, we will. Don't tell them. Hide this from them.
Yep.
Don't tell them what we're teaching you. This is why the homeschooling stuff that happened over the past 4 years has been so crucial, allowing parents to see what their kids are being taught. It was a huge misstep on their part, but they go after the kids. Make sure they have a special story day with special people to convince them that a certain way of life is good. What way of life is good? The kind that doesn't lead to procreation, the kind that keeps you separated, the kind that forces you to take other people's children because you won't be able to have any of your own. See? I talked very vaguely about it Monday on my belated Father's Day stream. Fathers used to be my three sons. Father Knows Best, Andy Griffith. Now it's Homer Simpson, American Dad, and Family Guy. Yeah, you're not too far from wrong. Look, I would go even further back. I would say Married with Children. I mean, depicting the father as the buffoon, right?
Right.
And it's also the whole what was I going to say? I just had a Biden moment. Sorry, guys.
Well, I want to bring a point too. It's not even just fathers. It's also about men in the community maybe helping out someone younger. Now, of course, there's now a big stigma against that, but. Yeah, I remember when I did teach briefly, I did have a young man in one of my classes who unfortunately his father passed away right at the beginning of the semester. So whenever he wanted to, I would let him come to my office and we could just talk. It didn't even have to be anything in particular, but if he wanted to talk, just to talk. And I don't know if that helped him, but we did that for a little while.
Not to get us too much off topic. Yep. But when it comes to what Enigma is saying here, this is why I have a real problem with teachers' unions. I'm sorry, but I believe there is no profession that needs to be more merit-based than teachers, and that means individually. You know, I'm not saying that I don't think teachers shouldn't have the ability to collectively bargain, but keep in mind what institutionalized unions are. They exist to perpetuate themselves, and they have their own political plans and motivations. So it's something to keep in mind. The power of... Yeah,
I'm sure we'll be getting to this subject maybe in the coming weeks.
Well, you know what? Actually, since he brings it up, and we were just talking about the pop cultural war, right? Who were your heroes? It was Luke Skywalker.
Yep.
You know, it was Superman. It was
Superman, big time.
And you know, all of these things, and the neo-Marxists have all moved in and pushed their agenda. First, it was moral relativism, right? So this is where you get your Snyder verse, right? Mm-hmm. With we gotta make everything grim and dark and, you know, nothing aspirational, right?
Superman felt like he was always miserable in those Snyder movies, like he didn't want to be Superman. Did you notice that?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You know, there was something to be said for, you know, every Christopher Reeve film ending with the smile into the camera. You know, it's like you knew that not only was this a happy ending, but Superman was happy. You know, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe Batman's a little bit broody, but that's not who Superman is, right?
Well, you know, I mean, granted, my main thing with Batman is from the animated series, but at least in that original animated series, before he became more of a jerk later on, he was tough, but he had a compassionate side, and you would see this in some of the episodes. Yeah.
Right. So, welcome, Lady Mist. Thank you so much for the flowers. Let's go back to the Acolyte, right? So we've already had Kathleen Kennedy and her ilk completely undermine Luke Skywalker, kill Han Solo like a punk, right?
Awful.
Even their own men that they've created, what's his name, Poe Dameron, you know, who was actually asking valid questions, you know. Oh, no, you can't question the female authority, you know, Leia's gonna shoot you, you know. I mean, you know, that became very obvious. And then we get Ahsoka, right? And then we get the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. Yeah. So I don't think enough people are talking about this. What is that? The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
It's aside wanting from to make a Star Wars musical, it's coming.
Well, there's that. There's that. Aside from how it's the cornerstone of certain Wiccan practices, okay, right? That, you know, whatever. It is the collectivism. It is again that neo-Marxism, right?
Yeah.
Right? And it's a corruption. It is a corruption of what the Force was meant to be, right? The Force was supposed to be this nature, right? The nature of the Force, the living will of whatever. You could project whatever you wanted onto it, whether it was religion or philosophy or whatever.
Thought it was midichlorians.
They're what harnesses it. See, I have actually come to... He sci-fi'd it a little more than he needed to. But why is it that Luke Skywalker and Yoda can tap into the Force in a way that you and I can't? Does the Force not exist in this galaxy in the present time? No, I don't think that's the case. I just think that, you know, the beings in that galaxy have established certain, you know, symbiotic relationships. Anyway, I'm getting off topic there. But again, this is the undermining of our heroes, of our aspirational heroes especially, and the cornerstones of our culture that would elevate us and lift us up and unify us. They need us to be downtrodden and separated. And the worst is. And I love when Leslie, the Weinstein facilitator, comes out and says, that's very reductionist to say because they're witches, they're all lesbians. I'm sorry. Do any of them have any relationships with men? The two, head females of that sect were clearly in a lesbian relationship. They had children together using the Force. So now they don't even need men to have children. It is literally a lesbian's wet dream. Don't try to gaslight me, bitch. Just saying. Just saying. Sorry, guys, I have fallen behind on the comments, but I did want to get to that one point because Geek Flag brought it up.
We should have Fanzine on again sometime. He probably has some good stuff to say about this. Yeah,
absolutely true. As far as I know, they haven't touched Goliath. My hero stands tall. There you go.
Goliath was from Marvel. I think in the MCU he was Lawrence Fishburne's character, right?
Don't know. I didn't.
They alluded to it like he was part of the Goliath project. So I assumed like back in the day, like when the original Ant-Man, maybe he was doing stuff with the stuff too.
This is exactly what I was talking about. Nate is specifically talking about that moral relativism that I was talking about. There is no such thing as a gray Jedi. There is. Some fans came up with it, and George Lucas himself said they do not exist. Yeah. He was very much about the dichotomy. There's the good and the bad. There's the protectors and the selfish. And that's very telling when you have Leslie Headcase coming out and saying, I identify as Sith. Okay, I know who you are. I know what you are. You're selfish. You're all about yourself and your desires. You don't care about anyone else. No problem. Point taken. I think the movies I have resonated with more than anything are movies which have strong moral compasses. Man on Fire, as an example. I was working on a PhD in this area before 2020 hit. Look, I think that bears out in what films are well received by audiences. People want to be uplifted. This is the history of Hollywood. They want to be entertained, yes. People always, I want to be entertained. But more than that, if you're honest with yourself, you want to be inspired.
Yes.
You want to be inspired. What movies really inspired you?
The original Star Wars inspired me when I was 4.
Absolutely right. I wanted to be a Jedi,
Well, I just thought it was cool with the
as I got older, I wanted to be a TIE fighter pilot, but I wanted to be a TIE fighter pilot that abandoned and defected over to the rebellion, like Wedge Antilles.
Apologies, Satoran. He was talking Goliath from the series Gargoyles.
Oh, gotcha.
A great animated series that I'm shocked Disney allowed to get made even back in the day. They almost gave the creator free reign.
Yeah.
Excellent series. I'm surprised they didn't try integrating that into the MC.
I want to point out something that Final Fantasy fan says. Moral relativism, despite the fact that morality is universal. Now, the moral relativists would come back and say, no, it's not. Animals, for example, don't, have a morality. It's just nature. It's whatever, it's a very selfish kind of thing, right? Survival of the fittest, all that kind of stuff. That's not true. When you look at groups of animals that have societies, right? When you look at ants, when you look at chimpanzees
wolf packs,
or other primates, wolf packs, dolphins, they have a society predicated on, I'm going to use this term loosely, rules, right? why are, and they're going to say, well, that's instinct. How does instinct come about except natural selection? If you can't live by societal rules, you can't be part of the society. You die. You do not procreate. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to break up the society so you don't procreate. Only they procreate. See? That's the whole plan.
I don't know.
One power too many. Have you noticed that many audiences resonate more with the first, the one last moral hero standing against overwhelming odds? The 300, The Last Samurai, Endgame, and Luke. Yeah, absolutely.
Robin Hood.
Absolutely. Robin Hood. Absolutely. Luke is a great, let's, as long as we're on the, the Star Wars train, let's talk about Luke again, right? Luke went and purposely turned himself in to the Empire, right? Because a couple of reasons. One, he said on the way down, Vader can sense when I'm here. He because of the Force. I am a danger to you. I should not be here. I am more of a hurt than a help to you. So I should go. Where should I go? I'm going to go to my father. Once he's found me, he stops looking, right? Mm-hmm. And I will either save him or die trying. And he literally, and he says this directly to the Emperor. He is completely prepared to die on that Death Star because he has faith that his friends are going to destroy the Death Star. And if he's still on it when it blows, oh well. Mm-hmm. He died trying to save his father.
Yeah.
And he ends up succeeding. His father realizes that. That act of self-sacrifice, that declared act of self-sacrifice, is churning on him. He's already conflicted. There's, you get it from Luke's perspective because he senses it in the Force, but, that's because there's no way for the audience to sense it in the Force. They have to have it somehow in dialogue for us to get that point of the story. He says, I feel the conflict in you. Well, where's that conflict coming from? It's, I lost my wife. Now I find out that I have kids. My son is right here in front of me. I don't want to bring him to the Emperor, right? But he's weak. He's being a bit of a beta. He still hasn't grown up. Yeah, he's still submitting to authority, right? And he's struggling through this whole thing. I believe that when his father says, or when his son says to him, you're wrong. You're gonna die, just as I am. Oh, you think, and the Emperor's focused on this sparring of words, but Vader is like, he came here knowing he was going to die. Why did he come here? He came here to save me. That's what he said. Holy crap. And that continues to resonate. And then he sees in the battle when he's, oh, okay, you got a sister too. Well, I'll go after her. And then he frickin' loses it. Now Vader's going, okay, I guess the Emperor's won. But what happens? Luke throws his lightsaber away. He says, no, I am not going to kill you. That is not why I came here. I am a Jedi like my father before me. I'll tell you what, that probably hurt Anakin more than any damage he took from that lightsaber. And that is what puts him over the edge. He goes, he stands by the Emperor, sees the Emperor torturing his son, says, fuck this. My son was ready to die for me. I am going to do what he was prepared to do. He manned up, right?
I did want to bring up a point, though. We do have in a lot of culture like these self-sacrificial heroes, but I always think it's important that the hero shouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like Iron Man had that argument with Captain America in the one movies. Like, you you're the guy who would never take a bullet for another guy. It's like, or never jump on a bomb for another guy. I try to figure out a way to deactivate a bomb so we both would survive. That's what he said, you know?
Right.
Which
Well, I mean, and this is what this is what I've always said about that stupidity in the Superman, what is it, Man of Steel, right? Oh, he had no choice. He had to kill Zod. No, Superman would have found another way. You just didn't know how to write him that intelligently. That's the problem. We are a government of, for, and by gaslighters. That's what it has become. You're absolutely right. That's the sad thing. Crazy love victimhood. Yeah, and see, and therein, that just shows you the plan is working, right? They become demoralized. They become hopeless. They become victimized, and they don't see any way out of it. That's a generation that we failed to teach, you know, what you need to survive, not to be a victim, to not count on government or whatever. You count on yourself, your family, your friends, and together you're strong.
Have young people been growing up being lied to though about some things?
Oh, they absolutely have.
Be honest here. I think you and I were too about certain things.
Absolutely.
Force is the living universe. The way. Oh, okay.
Noble, strong, compassionate. Yep. Even to people who had no reason to defend or care about. Yeah, exactly. And that's just it, right? You were talking about Marvel, right? You know, Steve Rogers throwing himself on the grenade, right? To save a bunch of guys he just met, you know, 2 days before, right?
And I
he
get
didn't
him in
need
that
to
moment.
know. It didn't matter what color they were or who they were or even if they liked him or not. He was like, you know what? This is what I need to do. And this is not uncommon, right?
No, it isn't.
This is the kind of thing that happened all the time in World War II. This isn't just something that happens in comic books. You know, we've heard those kinds of stories all the time from guys that came back from combat and whatnot. And does that mean they were stronger or better? No. Steve Rogers was the weak guy. The only thing he could do is throw himself on that grenade. You know? And he was so confused when it didn't blow up. Oh, wait, was this a test or something?
Yes. And then Tommy Lee Jones said he was still too skinny. Right. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he would have been a lot skinnier if that hadn't
My
been
go-to for this topic is C.S. Lewis's The Abolition of Man. I should read that. Thank you.
And check out the Screw Tape letters, too.
Yeah, that I know of. In fact, we have a graphic novel of that in the
You
library.
can definitely see the Screw Tape letters playing out in real time in this generation.
I have yet to get through the entire book. I've gotten about, I don't know, maybe quarter to halfway through. And it's like, I'll put it down and then not pick it up for like another 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'll start trying to read it again. And it's like, okay, I don't know what it is about that book, but I have a hard time reading it. And I love to read. You know that.
I would read it as, because keep in mind it's a dialogue between a demon and his Uncle Screwtape.
Yes, I know.
So take it 2 at a time. Take one letter and then the next, and then put it aside for a while.
But
Think
it's like
about it.
every time I read one of them, I'm sitting there going, no.
Yep, and that's exactly the reaction.
And I get outraged, and it's like, I think that's why I keep putting it down, because it's ticking me off. I'm going to have a Diet Dr. Pepper now, so I'm switching my drinks.
Go for it. Darth Plato, welcome. Relativism is false, absolutely. And I love the fact that that you have the Adam West era Batgirl as your icon. That is just absolutely brilliant. Talk about Batman as an aspirational hero. It was over the top, but there was a whole generation of kids that loved that Batman. But yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's like I don't know. Do you think us being taught not to have other men to look forward to? I mean, look up to. I mean,
That's absolutely true. Someone
whether
pointed
they're
out on
fictional in
social
real
media,
life.
you've got the two the diverse twins in the Acolyte, right? Two African American. Well, they're not African American, right? Because they're not American. They're two black girls, right? No father. Think about that for a second. Yep, absolutely true. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, and PJ, welcome. Saying hi, but he said he was going to be away from the keyboard. He may be back. I don't know.
Oh, Curtis Selby has a question. Why should the citizen be happy? Did you already get that one? Or maybe you're not there yet. Okay.
I probably haven't gotten there yet.
All right.
Bear with me.
No, take your time.
Society, literally. Yeah, this is kind of what I'm saying, and it's not something that societies make up out of thin air, right? It's like I said, there is no dolphin, government that comes together and votes about where they go to eat and what the role of the men will be and what the role of the women will be. Nature has already decided this for them, right? And they follow it. And their children learn it by observing it. And they do likewise. And those that don't, they get ostracized and they end up dying off. Same thing with primates. There is a certain pecking order and you follow the rules. And if you go outside of that, well, it's entirely possible that you will be ganged up on and killed. That's how societies operate in the animal kingdom. Those rules are you think they're arbitrary. You think they were created by some group of men who wrote books hundreds and thousands of years ago. No, it's just tradition based on what has worked and gotten us this far. And if you think you know better, go for it. But your generation may end right there with you.
Look at the very last post. Down one more.
It's hard to do. I can't get there.
Okay. Geek Flag, what Nate said, when I was 12, one day I came home and told my dad about something that happened that day at school. Two boys beat up a smaller boy. The first thing my dad asked me is, what did you do?
Mm-hmm. What did you do? Absolutely right. And if you said nothing, I bet your dad would have said, I'm ashamed.
Wasn't there a scene in Spider-Man 2 where he sees two guys beating up another guy in an alley, but this was when he had he lost his powers and had given up, but he was almost going to spring into action, and he realized, well, he didn't have his power, yeah.
Darth Plato makes a great point. Is it wrong to torture babies for fun because society says so, or is it wrong to torture babies for fun in a society because it's wrong? I will, why is it wrong? Friggin' golden rule. This isn't philosophy. This is a natural law. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Don't do things that you wouldn't want to happen to you, because by doing them, you might invite that, right? You tortured and killed my baby? Okay, I'm going to torture and kill your baby and you. You're kind of opening that floodgate on you. But they screwed up part. The screwed up part is that they had Superman stop Zod by sending him back to the Phantom Zone, but the studio and possibly Snyder and Goyer thought it wasn't exciting enough.
It's just
and that's part of what bothers me about the way they handled it in well, the first time they did it, which was Superman 2, right? It was not made clear what happens to the Phantom Zoners, right? You
see them get punched and they fall into
a mist, and in a deleted scene, you see them being taken away by Arctic police, which I guess is a thing in Superman's universe.
Why not?
But that, if nothing else, that implies that, their intent always was that they weren't dead, right?
Why do I see Jack Burton as the one driving away from Kurt Russell's character? No, I'm sorry.
There you go. And no,
we need your truck to haul the Phantom Zone.
Hi there. And let me. I'm gonna kind of start cruising through these a bit. I think I'm getting caught up. You guys saying hi to each other. I just got to Nate's comment that we were just talking about.
He's got a follow up to it too.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I said nothing, and my father told me that is not who you are. That is not who I raised you to be. And the next day, I found these two boys, and I didn't win the fight, but I gave as good as I got. That's what's the criteria for winning? After you gave as good as you got, what happened after that? Did they continue to pick on this kid? Did they come after you again? What happened with that, right? I'll tell you what the way that needs to go, if that had been my kid, I would assume that I'd get called in and I would be told your kid was fighting, blah, 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 blah. Yeah? Why did my kid have to fight? He was standing up for another kid. Where are you? Where are your teachers? Why are you allowing this to happen in the first place? It never should have gotten to the point where my kid had to step in. Dereliction of duty. That's how I would handle it going to the school. Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely right. I am studying The Great Divorce. Mere Christianity discusses your points that you are making. The Great Divorce. Until we have faces, maybe my favorite. Okay. Yeah. Good topics. But, critical thinking and drinking. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. We are talking men's mental health. We've kind of gone down a causality path right now. We've been talking about the social Marxism that has been probably one of the biggest stresses on men's mental health, and it's by design. Tear down the family structure, tear down masculinity, divide us, separate us, chew away at the cornerstones of our society.
It almost seems, especially with the younger generation, that the sexes are attacking each other too.
Yeah, divide as in every way. Who talked about this? I think very succinctly. So they had to cancel him. Was Jordan Peterson? He talked about divide. That's what all this intersectionality is about.
Oh, he's in Canada too. They have different rules up there.
And what's interesting is I do find now that a lot of the intersectional groups are starting to catch on. When you see Gays Against Groomers, they're starting to go, look, we don't want any of this. We don't want you bringing up these issues with children, our children or anyone else's. That is not appropriate.
Yeah, it's being a predator. They don't want to be associated.
What I do with my significant other is really none of anybody's business. And it's we've come so far, and now you've taken it away. That's why a lot of women are starting to come out against the fourth wave feminism, and saying no, you don't speak for me. And that kind of brings us back to the point I was getting at. There's a good deal that I've been seeing on, and I'm sure the algorithm drives it. It's my interest. and the AI figures it out and starts pushing it to me. So that's fine because I'm seeing the things that I want to see. But you see someone like the Dadvocate on YouTube. If you know who that is, it's a young lady who's married, has children. She started out on TikTok, and then started taking her videos to YouTube Shorts and then putting them together in compilations. She started out by mansplaining women to men and women-splaining men to women. Anyway, she's explaining the differences between men and women, how they're confused. And a lot of what she was doing was reacting to these women on TikTok that were boyfriend and husband shaming and all this kind of stuff. And her usual, bottom line on that stuff is, and then you ladies wonder why you can't find decent men and why, men are walking away and, because because, you have taught them that if they try to, be a certain way, or they try to be open, or they try to be vulnerable, you will use that against them, And it really does come from this sense of entitlement, this fourth wave feminism. Men are bad, it's toxic, it's this and that. Well, okay, this is the world you're creating for yourself. And there's a lot of women like the Dadvocate that are coming out and saying, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. I love my husband. I love so many things about him. I don't want him to change. I don't want this to be his reality. I'm raising boys. I don't want them to live in that kind of reality. My dad was a great dad. I don't hate him. My brother, women have men in their lives that they don't want to see tortured. The reality is, if you don't, then you're the problem. You're the ist, Just my 2 cents on that, But there's another one. I want to say he's is he a senator or a congressman? It's a Nick Freitas. He actually interviewed the Dadvocate recently. But
okay.
Yeah, he's got a great video out talking about. I'm obviously not going to play it. It's his content. You should just get over to his channel. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link just because he's. And what's great is most of his videos are these shorts. He's got live streams and stuff too, but he's got these great shorts where he'll comment on something, and he's got that look, he's got that man look, and he's got like a cup of coffee in his hands, and well, I heard just recently blah 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 this and that, and then he'll describe it, and then he'll end with something witty, and then he'll take a drink and try to read what his coffee cup says. It looks like it's different every time, but he had a great one. It was a snippet from a longer stream that he had done, talking about men are kind of berated for not being vulnerable and sharing their feelings and stuff. And he goes, no. He goes, no, that's not the way it's supposed to be, right? You have to earn that from me. I have to know I can trust you before I can open up to you. That's not for everyone, right? And I was like, wow. And he says, and that's where emotional maturity comes from. Mm-hmm. Knowing when to be sharing and when to not. But yeah, so but yeah, there is also understanding and I'm going to use religious terms, but you don't have to be religious to understand the basic logic and philosophy behind it. The sin of pride, right? Oh, this is not a segue. It's just I happen to see that Samuel Proctor came into the chat, and I wanted to say hi to Samuel Proctor. Pride, why is it a sin? Pride goes before a fall, right? Gosh, there's actually a lot of proverbs in the book of Proverbs dedicated to pride, right? And pride in English is a strange word, right? Because you can be proud of an accomplishment, right? But it is a sin to be prideful. You want to take pride in your work, but you don't want to be haughty, right? So for example, if you have accomplished something and you say, I'm really proud that I did that. I'm proud of that house I built, or that I don't know, the craft I created, or that video I put out, or
32 years of marriage.
32 years of marriage, absolutely. That one I can only be half proud of, because that was a team effort. But you could be proud of that too. Proud of a sporting victory that you had something to do with. How weird is it though to be proud of something you had nothing to do with? I'm proud of the White Sox winning the World Series. Really? Did you coach them? What role did you play in their victory? Right?
This is, yeah.
Hold on a second. Let me say to Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Welcome, my friend.
From the flooded state of Minnesota. Hope you're okay there.
Yeah, how flooded are you? Are you personally okay? I would assume you have electricity. You're on last call with us, so you must be relatively.
Or he did what Boomer did, and he's somewhere else with a laptop
that
or
could
something.
That could be. Let us know.
Dry.
Yes.
But what? Okay, I thought you were answering. That's fine. But yeah. So I'm sorry, Boomer. You were starting to say about pride.
Oh, no, I was going to say that it reminds me of an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David, where Larry David's friend got a new convertible, and says, well, you didn't congratulate me on getting a new convertible. And I'm thinking, what's there to congratulate? You just bought one. It's not like you won something or you earned something. It's
right, exactly.
I mean, does that make sense to you? I guess
absolutely.
I don't know. I'm supposed to congratulate someone when they get a new car or something.
Exactly. Real quick, I want to say, Sashi, Netter kind of went into it all at the beginning, but bottom line, she didn't pass, but she came really close.
I was just typing that out to him. I mean, basically, for anyone who's joined recently that hadn't heard this already, there's 120 questions on the test. I needed 80% to pass, which is 96 questions. I got 90 correct, so I was only 6 questions shy, but
5% short. She did. Yeah, she came really, really close.
Really, really close. Just talk about pride. I'm actually proud of myself for doing as well as I did, and I really think it's because of all your well wishes, prayers, and things that you guys are sending my way that I did as good as I did. And my company even said that it wasn't anything I needed to pass; they wanted to just go through the experience. But I still think I did pretty darn good, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't really understand the idea of being proud of things that you never had any control over. I'm proud to be Italian. I'm proud to be, a man. I'm proud to be heterosexual. Why? It's just part of my nature. That's not something to be proud. It's not something I achieved that I had to work for.
Well, is it maybe a nationality thing, like I'm a proud American or a proud Canadian or something like that? I don't know. I've heard that excuse, but yeah.
I mean,
it's
but not so much that it divides you, right?
Right.
I'm proud to be Italian, and anyone who's not Italian is beneath me, right?
No, that's a little, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm Italian by marriage.
Yeah, well.
Or to put it slightly more crudely, I'm Italian by injection.
Oh, there you go. There you go. See, there's the dadvocate for you. There's the wife that is very secure in her relationship with her husband. Yeah, I mean that's. But I don't think we mean it the same way. I don't think that you can be I don't. This is why I say that word pride has different meanings, and I don't think that kind of being proud is the same thing. I think it's oftentimes that's a reaction to being marginalized. People don't realize this, but and this is not popular to say, but I'm sorry, history is history. The Italians were hated and despised and what's it called?
Ostracized?
Racially mistreated as badly as black people were.
And Irish too.
And the Irish too. That's
when
absolutely right.
people forget that a lot of these European groups were treated like crap also when they came over
here. In fact,
the term redheaded stepchild, that's a real thing.
There's actually a couple great videos talking about how did Italians become white, because they were considered to be black in the weird Jim Crow-ish type laws that we had in this country.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Troy should wear his fedora at a 45-degree angle when he makes a poignant point. It should then return to default. Well, there you go. But I'd like to think I'm constantly making poignant points, so I just need to all night long. So I don't want to do that. An Italian was lynched in the Deep South over attending white school. That's exactly right. That's one of the examples I was thinking of. So you got to understand that when you are a generation removed from being a marginalized group, and this was something that there were behavioral studies that I read about in the 70s in grade school. Basically, they were teaching us not to be racist, right? But how did they do that? They looked at actual behavioral studies, and they found that the difference between, in this particular behavioral experiment, they were giving questions to black children and white children. And they were asking, look at this picture of a black child, look at this child of a white child. Who's more intelligent? Who's smarter? Are you intelligent? Are you smart? Are you beautiful? And I think you can kind of guess where this went, right? There was a bias against the black children, even among the black children. No, I am not as smart as that person in the white kid in that picture. They were more likely to say the black child is less intelligent. This is the kind of the kernel of truth that they talk about when they talk about institutional racism. It's not like, this was taught to them, but it kind of was by the way that society had geared itself. But that stuff does not persist for generations and generations and generations. You eventually overcome that. Like I said, how did Italians become white? It's starting to happen to the Asians now in this country. They are being considered white in terms of the DEI initiatives.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And I think that most people that, are really honest would say, look, our country's come a long way. We abolished slavery. There were dark times. There were Jim Crow laws. We've overturned all of those, right? We have laws that protect, every race, creed, color, religion, gender, even identities these days. What more can the society do? Those of you that think that morality comes from the society making up rules, right? And I think, like I said, from the way I was taught, not only in school but by my parents, you don't hate people because of the color of their skin. They're no better or worse than you. We
were all taught that.
We were all taught that.
I remember.
But we can't have that. We've got to divide. We can't bring people together. This is what I'm saying. It's been usurped.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that on Sunday.
I have not yet seen Cabrini. I even had the opportunity to get a pre-screener of Cabrini, and I was just too busy. I couldn't do it. But yeah. Dad said I could be anything I want in this country except president, and that was only because he couldn't believe that whatever happened, and he's probably still typing the next part of it.
But
yeah, I hate that they give you so few characters that you have to split it up.
ridiculous.
But I'll tell you something. The fact is that we've always told everyone you can be whatever you want to be, but that causes children to overlook the true realities, right? You could be anything you want to be, even president. Well, I suppose in the strictest sense, it's true. You can be president, but the fact is, in your lifetime, you're only going to see about 10 presidents. 10 presidents out of all the people in this country. You know, your chances of winning the lottery are way better. You know, the same is true. You know, they used to say it about astronauts. You can be an astronaut if you want. Well, good luck with that. You know, there's only a handful of people that have been to space and back.
NASA's very hard to get into.
It really, really is. You know, but yeah. So, but anyway. So what I was getting at was with my talk about pride, is that we have to remember that there's a scripture, you know, it's one of the Proverbs. For lack of planning, nations fall. Many advisors make victory assured. Right? It's good to be independent, right? But I see that Gregory Borse has joined us over from from X. Well, welcome. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. It's important to remember that it is good to be self-sufficient, right? Strive. If you can't count on anyone else, you got to count on yourself, right? But don't be afraid to ask for help, right? Because if you have to do it alone, you do it alone, but you could do it better if you have help, right? And sometimes you absolutely need that help. And I think part of the negative pride, the pridefulness that men have taught to them, what I think they arguably call the toxic masculinity. It's not toxic masculinity.
Oh, please.
It's just something that's been taught to men. You gotta toughen up. You gotta man up. You gotta grin and bear it. Don't complain. Okay, it's true. You gotta be made of tougher stuff, right? But there's no reason to do it alone. That's foolish. There comes a point when you have to recognize, I need help, and I need to seek out that help. That's wisdom, right? So, real quick, Troy is talking some serious feminism topics. Okay. I suppose if you want to look at it from that perspective. Greg is a PhD, so give my boy room to speak if needed. Absolutely. But before we go any further, talking about pride, talking about asking for help when you need it, I've got something that I wanted to share. I did mention it in the notes. We were supposed to have a very special guest tonight. He had another commitment, but he did give permission and actually sent me a copy of this video that he had done last year for Men's International Health Month. I think it's important, and I think you need to check it out. So give me just a second. I'm going to have to mute you, Boomer, because otherwise we get an echo when I share the
That's fine. Mute me.
Yeah. I'll bring you back. I'll unmute you after the.
It's fine. Do what you gotta do.
Don't mute him. That's abuse.
Well, share screen, entire screen, because I got to share the audio, and his audio will come through twice if I don't mute him. So go ahead and play this for you.
My name is Tony Roberts, and I've spent the last decade living and working in Port Hedland in the mining industry. But that's just my job. Who am I really? Well, I'm a husband, a father, a brother, and a son. I'm a veteran. I struggle with my mental health, and my life has been irrevocably changed by suicide. My experiences in Iraq have had a tremendously negative effect on my mental health. I've lost friends in some of the most traumatic circumstances you can imagine, but not all of them were lost through enemy action. My friend Paul, he was a proud Welshman. He played guitar, he was a singer, he was a damn good rugby player. He was the medic on my team, and he was a good friend. At this particular time, we were operating out of southern Iraq. And like most of the guys did, of an evening, guys would get their running gear on and they would go running within the relatively safe perimeter of the base. On this particular day, Paul came past my room, told me he was going for a run, and he left around 5 p.m. By 7 p.m, when he hadn't returned, I started to get very concerned. I went round to Paul's room to see if he'd gotten back. He wasn't there. Started asking other members of the team if they'd seen Paul. Almost 2 days after Paul went missing, I went for a drive to the rifle range, which was on the far side of the airfield at this airbase. I got out of the vehicle at the range, and I just had this sense that something wasn't right. Paul had gone for a run all the way around the other side of the airfield to this rifle range. He sat down inside a portaloo, locked the door, took the pistol out of his bum bag, put the pistol in his mouth. I had no idea my friend needed help. I had no idea there was anything wrong. I thought I knew this man intimately. We'd lived and worked together for a long time. Paul had only recently returned from leave in the UK. He'd been back a couple of weeks. And at no point did I ever ask him if he was okay. It was only after Paul took his own life that I learned that back in the UK, his marriage was breaking down. He was losing custody of his kids. He had very little control over what was going on back home. And I guess he decided that the burden was just too much to bear. This was 14 years ago, and I still think about Paul every day. Every day. I asked myself if I could have done more. Why didn't I ask Paul if there was something wrong? Why didn't he talk to me? When we talk to people about how we're feeling, when we share that burden with others, sometimes those oppressive, unbearable thoughts can be somewhat diluted through conversation. If you're feeling that way, reach out to a friend, reach out to a professional, reach out to a family member, reach out to somebody, reach out to a stranger. 12 years ago, I left Iraq, and I naively thought that my war was over. What I didn't realize is that I was about to start fighting another war against male suicide. I lost a lot of good friends in Iraq in some horrendous circumstances. But what I didn't know is that I would lose twice as many in the decade since. through suicide. Just 3 months ago, my friend John succumbed to his demons and he took his own life. Suicide, particularly male suicide, is a national crisis and we need to do more. 3 out of every 4 suicides are men. It is the largest killer of men under the age of 45. This year I'm supporting the Movember Foundation by making a commitment to sharing my personal story of suicide. Because by sharing our stories, we can help stop men dying too young. Suicide can no longer be a taboo subject. As hard as it is to talk about, we must talk about it. If you're someone in crisis, please reach out for help, because none of us have to shoulder the burden of despair alone.
Let's get you back in here, Boomer.
Mm.
Yeah, obviously that's geared towards an Australian audience, but
Well, I think it
it's
speaks
a pretty universal concept. And I thought about this. This is why I didn't do this. I thought about, putting up a number, for the United States and whatnot, suicide prevention hotline and so forth. I didn't, because I have not done the research to know anything about these organizations. Some are better than others.
right.
I think the message is just, if you need help, get help. And don't ever be afraid to seek help, right?
Right.
And like Tony was saying, sharing your stories, right? Sashi was just saying that he knew somebody who had committed suicide. He lost his job as a flight steward during the lockdowns, and his wife divorced him. She didn't lose her job. Yeah, I mean, that when you tell a story and you only have so many characters to do it, and you don't get the full length and breadth of the story, so I don't know all the details, but I can kind of imagine, right? A man that is and I've been in this situation too, maybe not as dire as that, but when you're out of work and you're not supporting your family, and your wife is shouldering all the burden, you feel incredibly depressed. You feel like, that what do you call it? That meme that I shared, right? I bet he's thinking about other women, and what's he thinking about? What happens if I fail? What happens? Who's going to take care of my family? And so on and so forth. That's what the man is thinking, So, and this was another thing that so many of us said during the lockdowns. People are going to lose their jobs. People are not going to be able to support themselves. And you're going to lose more people to suicide than you are to this stupid bug. Little did we know we'd be losing more to the cure than we did to the disease.
Well, also, too, all the job losses, too, during that pandemic, that didn't help matters.
Yeah, Troy and I both lost our jobs 5 minutes apart on the same day.
Wow.
And he was fortunate enough to get another job like something like 7-8 months later. So like we lost our jobs in March. He found a new job in November. I found a new job the following March. Now, actually, we lost our jobs in April. So he found his job in November. I found mine the following March. Fortunately, we had unemployment that we were able to fall back on. And because of COVID, they extended how long you can have unemployment, because normally it's 1 year, and mine was going to be running out. So, and that extra couple of months really helped. So, that was something.
But and there's a follow-up here. The family of the dude got the cause of death changed to natural causes. There's a stigma attached to the act that causes it to be underreported down here. Yeah, I know that, for example, if you're religious, a Catholic specifically, you can't be buried in a Catholic cemetery if it's a suicide. There is that kind of thing. I really do feel like the stigma should be more on the people around the person, not to absolve you of responsibility for yourself, but you really need to be, you really do need to care about people. It's not enough to just send emojis and, oh, happy birthday. Social media told me it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Kind of be in people's lives. Caring about them is an active thing you actually have to be doing,
Like, okay, we have people that, like...
Thank you, drinking.
They have, right now, bad weather. There's been lots of bad rainstorms, and it's like, hey, how you doing? Do you need anything?
Thank you.
And like when Boomer was going through that in Florida, it's like, do you need anything? How can we help?
Right.
Same thing. It's like we are concerned for us. When I say you guys are family, I'm not just saying that to say it. You guys are family. So if I find out that you're sick, and a lot of times people are like, oh, yeah, I'm not feeling so great tonight. I'm just going to kind of listen or whatever. It's like, feel better, and hey, try this to make yourself feel better. Like if people have bad headaches, I tell them, put a cold pack on the back of your neck. That really helps. And here's my cough cure and all that sort of thing. Because we do care about you. We want to make sure you're okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think I'm missing part of the story in the beginning here. Lost my job, worked at Chili's to become a teacher. I'm assuming that means while studying to be a teacher, you were working at Chili's? Because I'm not otherwise seeing the connection between working at Chili's and becoming a teacher. I do have a living motivation, which I put my trust in, but the word to encourage is don't let the world get the better of you. Fight back. Absolutely. And like I'm saying, and use every weapon at your disposal. Sometimes the weapon is, your right-hand man, right? In my case, it's that beautiful woman sitting directly across from me. That's why we're both armed. I know that she would literally have my back.
No man is an island, right?
There you go. Well, they shouldn't have to be anyway.
Yeah, it's like even okay. Troy had
There
been in
he
the
is.
hospital a couple
I hit
years
the
back
wrong one.
for some surgery, and I was there in the hospital with him the entire time that he was there. I insisted on staying, and whenever one of the nurses would come in and like he had to have blood drawn, and they'd start poking him, it's like, no, all you're doing is hurting him. Stop trying to get blood out of the arm with all the bruises and go to someplace fresh. Take it out of the side of his hand, take it out of his big toe. I don't care, but you're not going to stab him in the arm anymore. And they would just look at me like, do it. You're not touching my husband. I'm small, but I'm feisty, and I always have his back. And I mean, I was scaring these nurses to the point where they're like, oh, let's get the other phlebotomist. And you're like, yeah, you do that because you're not touching him. You don't know what you're doing.
I get it now, Enigma. Okay. That makes sense. I figured it was something like that.
Hey,
Darth Plato says, can't get a job teaching in the English-speaking world, so I turned to doing a book. Well, there you go. I've had a lot of people tell me, I miss my... I've had a lot of people tell me I've missed a bunch of different callings. I've had people tell me I missed my calling, I should have been a lawyer. I've had other people say I missed my calling, I should have been a teacher, particularly a history teacher. As I look at the world as it is now, I'm glad I did not go into those professions. But I do want people to remember that you can educate yourself. You don't need to get certified and go get a job in a specific area that you have an interest in learning about, right? You can learn about the law, you can learn about your rights, without becoming a lawyer, right? You don't have to be a practicing lawyer. If you just have an interest in history, learn history. That's especially easy these days with YouTube and so many other options available to you.
And your public library.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's all in books. But books are things that we used to read before the internet. They were written on paper and they were bound between two hardcovers, and you'd open them up and you'd read the words there.
People still read them. They're just all written by James Patterson.
Yeah,
sorry, I'm being a joke because I'm just kidding.
And now Darth Plato saying you lost your calling in being a pool hustler. Oh, funny you should say that. I think I've told this story. I spent more time in the commons area in college playing pool than I did going to classes. Me and a buddy named Darren, we used to blow off class to go play pool all the time. So you're right, I could have become a pool hustler. Oh, and about 4 blocks away from the university, I went to DePaul University, just down the street, down Fullerton Avenue, was a pool hall where The Color of Money was filmed.
Oh!
Yeah, it even said, it had a picture of Paul Newman and Jackie Gleason, like painted on the sign, and it was, it said, Color of Money was filmed here.
Hey,
yeah.
I'm sure that brings people in to check it out.
I would imagine, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say though, we were talking about Walking Back Kotter on Sunday. I hate this. I don't want to say culture influenced everything, but think about that show. How he would talk. Every episode was him talking to the young men on that show. Trying to set him right, and he wasn't always right either. Like he would admit if he made a mistake. But I don't know. I guess we don't have TV like that anymore. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
It depends on exactly what your goal is. If you want to continue feeding that beast, that's fine. But there are more and more options, right? I mean, for one thing, I would encourage people to look into Hinsdale College. Just saying. They take $0 from the federal government. They are all privately funded. So they are not beholden to any push from the government. They focus on critical thinking. Probably you could argue a conservative bent, but unfortunately I think conservatism has just come to mean critical thinking. I mean, but and keep in mind that you don't have to go to an Ivy League school. You know what? I'm gonna get off on a tangent here, but I have a thing or two to say about the whole concept of licensure. That you have to have a license and you've got to be blessed by the government to be a teacher, to be a doctor, to be a lawyer. I have real issues with that. It becomes a power structure to just keep people out and force them to do what the establishment wants them to do. If we didn't see that during the pandemic, then I don't know where you could see it more clearly. Yeah. So this is why I started out the and I think you knew this when I was saying it. This is why I started out the stream asking you, Boomer, how you're doing. I know how you're doing. I ask you every week. Well,
yes,
3 times a week, actually. The fact is, Boomer and I talk more than I talk to most members of my family.
Come ask me again during hurricane season. Actually, we're technically.
I do, don't I? I consistently do. Especially when I see that there's a squall starting off the coast.
No.
It's like, dude, And what do I tell you? I'm like, get out of there. Get your family, get together, batten down the hatches and get out of there. And what do? You have a you stay to take care of people in the municipal facility.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, you're the hero.
No, it's my duty. It's my
That's exactly what heroes say. That's
Okay.
exactly what heroes say. Oh, thank you so much. The Clue Channel. Salute, Pacellis. And salute to Agent Boomer. Thank you so much. Super, super appreciate it. Didn't have to do that, but I really do appreciate that you did. But yeah, gosh, you guys are awesome. You really are. And this is what I'm talking about when I say you guys make this happen. Because going back to the whole job thing, right? So it was during the pandemic, started working from home, which freed up, depending on how you count it, 2 to 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
That I did not have to commute.
There you go.
And I'm like, I got all this extra time and I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. I can't see anybody. Well, except the one person I want to see the most. This is one of the things I said early on in the pandemic.
So you started making matchstick sculptures.
Well, yeah, right. No. I made mountains out of mashed potatoes. No.
There you go.
I said early on in the pandemic, I said, okay, so weeks and months in my house, just me and my wife. Okay, I'm good with that. But
it's now been like 3.5 years, and
I think it's like 19.
well, for you, it's probably closer to 4.
Yeah, it's about 4 years.
Well, you were on lockdown longer than other states too. I remember that.
Yeah.
That was a
yeah. So that's what happens when you live in Alinistan near Chirac. Yeah, it's yeah. But my point was that it was in like it was about that time, that I started looking at YouTube and saying, hey, this is a way for me to reach out and still be social. And I've told the story behind Last Call and why, I decided to do this thing, because at the job that Netter and I were working at, every Friday we would get together with our coworkers, go over to the pub, have some chow, have some drinks, blow off steam. And I really missed that. So I was like, I bet there's a lot of people, locked up because of the pandemic that feel this way. I think I'll just start an online pub, and that's what, Last Call basically became. And just kept it going. And what sucks is how difficult and how long a process it is to get monetized, because it's nice to think of it as an additional revenue stream, because, if something happens again, I'm hearing about some flesh-eating bacteria in Japan, and we're hearing about this bird flu now. You better believe they're trying to stoke up another pandemic. Just saying, guys, something to watch for. But it's nice to have the option of alternate revenue streams, and so if I can make this work, I can keep this little community together. So, but that I'm kind of getting off. COVID. I think we'd be going on to COVID 24, wouldn't it be? I don't know. I don't know how those things work.
Well, we're 5 years into the 2020s. Are we going to make it the next 5 years? That's all I'm saying.
I don't know.
Because I'm kind of over this decade already. Anyway.
Oh, I see what Clue Channel's saying. You had predicted that in 2023, starting in 2024. Yeah, well, why? Why 2024? Right. So 19, right? COVID-19 was because it was identified in 2019. But it was in 2020 that they started doing all the lockdowns, right? What's the parallel? 2020 and 2024, separated by 4 years. What happens in both of those years? Just saying. Just saying. Not suggesting that there's any election fornication going on, but I think there's some election fornication going on. Just my thought. But Methuselah, those fuckers are saying, watch out for 2026.
Why?
Malthusians, that's what it is. Malthusians are saying, watch out for 2026. Look, look out for every year, right? Be prepared. Build your relationships with your friends and family, you know, and what is it they say? Work like it all depends on you, but pray like it all depends on God. And I'm going to say, work like it all depends on you, but rely on your friends like it relies on the community. And I don't mean the greater community. I mean your community, your friends, your family, the people that you know have your back, you know, for real. There are no pat answers. That was probably the conclusion I've been leading up to all night. You can't just say, you know, this is the answer, right? We've talked about social changes. We've talked about undermining of our way of life. We have talked about the war on masculinity, the war on men, the war on families, the war on our pop culture, right? There are no simple answers.
The psyop. No, I don't know.
Right. But the one thing I can say is don't give up. Don't give up. You know, Deleted Scenes is the one who always ends his show with, "This is how we win." The way we win is by not giving up, right? And keep in mind, I'm not necessarily saying, you know, mind over matter and all that kind of stuff. There are people out there that have taken their own life that well, the brain is a weird thing. It's really hard to say, you know, what is what you have control over and what you don't, right? When you talk about things like patterns and behaviors and whatnot, you know, there is some degree of take control of yourself and, you know, hold captive every thought. But when you find out that there's a brain defect, you know, that, well, suddenly, you know, your thoughts aren't your own anymore. So why do I bring this up? Very famous suicide in recent memory, Robin Williams, right?
That really, yeah, that one hurt.
It absolutely did. And to say, well, he suffered with depression is an oversimplification of his problem. Turns out he had Lewy body dementia. Look into it. It is becoming far more common, and I have no idea. I have no idea what causes it or where it comes from. But it's literally physically attacking the brain. There's no way for them to test for it until after you die, and then, you know, in an autopsy they can see, oh, he had these Lewy bodies in their brain kind of eating away at the gray matter, and some of it is obvious. Sometimes you get neurological issues. You get obviously depression. You get forgetful, you know, and stuff like the dementia part of it. But very, very oftentimes, in the vast majority of Lewy body cases, they try to take their own lives. I had a buddy who's often here in the chat. I haven't seen him tonight. Was talking about how his mother-in-law would do that. She'd run out in the street, try to get hit by a car. And I mean, she had already been diagnosed with dementia, but they started to suspect Lewy body dementia. And I mentioned that to him. And not that it helps to know what it is. You can't, you know, there is no cure for it that they know of yet. But yeah. Sorry, I saw you come in. I was in the middle, but Matt Cheatwood, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here. But yeah. But Nate's having a hard time with one of tonight's topics. I brought up some stuff trying not to think of it, but it's a tough story. Yeah, see, that's the other thing too. There's a certain strength in being vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
Look, there is a perception that you're being stronger and tougher by, not talking about it and keeping it in. But if we're really honest with ourselves, it's easier to keep quiet about it and not talk about it. It's the hard thing to do, to talk about it, because you have to be uncomfortable, right? But look.
Well, the thing is, they're like, well, if I admit that I'm depressed, they're like, oh, are you a little sad? Or aren't you a big, strong man? That's
I know.
And they're afraid of being made
just
fun of.
man up, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, no, guys can be depressed too, Well,
and I think and that's what it comes down to is recognizing this in other people. And look, we've talked a lot about, men's struggles. This is Men's Mental Health Month. That's the framing that I started this under. But keep in mind that although men and women are different, we got to think about women too, right? I mean, yes, men represent 80% of the suicides, statistically speaking. But that means there's 20% of women taking their own lives too, right? Dealing with things too. We're talking about human beings. One person is a tragedy, right? I don't care what the statistics say. And there are certain things that are kind of universal, right? Men and women do deal with things differently, but universally, they still have to deal with things, right? And universally, they still need help to deal with things. They may need a different kind of help, but then you can almost say that about individuals, not just men and women. I need to know how to help Netter because I know Netter and I know, what helps her and what actually makes it worse, And Netter needs to know, like, for example, okay, he's getting angry. I need to give him his space and I need to be more compassionate now that it's hard to be compassionate to him because he's being an asshole than I need to be compassionate when he's not angry,
Oh, generally it's like when he starts yelling and screaming and throwing things, I just leave the room. I figure let him do what he needs to do, because he's really just taking it out of me, and it's like he needs a space. If he's going to yell, scream, and break things, let him yell, scream, and break things. He'll eventually calm down. He'll be okay.
And when I calm down, do you ever come back and say, what's wrong?
Sometimes I ask you when you're starting to do the yelling and screaming, you're just like, leave me alone. It's like, okay.
That's not the time.
Yeah, and I walk away.
That's not the time.
And then it's like, okay, what happened?
And these are things you need to learn about the people around you. When you really care about someone, you pay attention to those things. He's not normally like this. Why is he like this? If you can't figure it out yourself, ask. And that's one of the big ones that the Dadvocate talks about. Women are big on this. Well, he should just know. No, men are not mind readers. Men tend to be very literal.
Yes.
So you need to tell them, Do
you like my haircut?
Maybe in time, maybe after being married for 30 years, he will start to know. But you can't expect him to know right off the bat, I think it's useful to acknowledge that the best therapy for men is not the best therapy for women. Women want to be heard and sympathized with. Men need to be competent and dangerous. I would go more that, if we're going to generalize, I would generalize more that you're right. Women are more about the and this is the whole men are from Mars, women are from Venus, which I think is a little simplistic, but as far as generalities go, it's kind of true. Women when they're having a problem, just want to be able to vent and tell you, and you sympathize, and they're there. Men aren't like that. Men, when they hear you've got a problem, they don't want to sympathize. They do sympathize, but they don't necessarily express that. They are action oriented. How can I help you with this? Oh, this is what you need to do. Well, that's not what she needs. She's probably already done that, right?
I think I remember something with Peter Parker and Mary Jane where he was trying to, tell her that's not what she was needing from him at that moment.
And welcome, Warpig. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. It's good to see you. Oh, well, men want solutions. Yeah, right. If I say to you, I've got a problem, I'm looking to solve it. I'm not looking for, compassion. I'm not looking for, oh, poor boy. I'm looking for, my car broke down. I can't really afford to fix it. Got any thoughts? Oh, sure, I can help you fix that. I'm real good with engines. Oh, okay, great, thanks. No, I know this guy. He'll work something out with you. You can pay him overtime. I'll help you out with that. That's what a guy's looking for, right? But I think that whether or not you're looking for it, I think we all need a little bit of compassion. So I think that's where it starts. You first have to have the compassion to care enough to start going, what is the best way to help somebody? And just remember that everybody needs help sometimes, and oftentimes the one that seems to have it together the most is struggling the most.
Because
it is kind of counterintuitive, because the people that are obviously struggling are probably doing better because they're so open with their feelings and they're communicating. They are communicating very obviously. So yeah, they need some help. It's very clear. Help them out. But the ones that don't seem, to need your help probably are the ones that need it the most. But that was the length and breadth of what I wanted to say. I'm glad that a lot of you, were sharing some of your own thoughts, your own experiences, and so forth. That really does help. I am usually not a big one for, awareness days and awareness months and stuff like that. But you know what? I think this is one that you kind of do need to be aware of.
Now,
aware of it. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Finish.
Well, I was going to say aware of it in general, but more acutely aware on the individual level, right? The people around you.
I hate to admit this. I think this is not something I commonly think about June as, and I'm wondering if this is not reported on in the media or if this will get a lot of exposure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's very, very clear that this is not a priority in our current society. There are other things that June is known for that are a much greater priority in our society, and that's the problem. Just saying. Just saying. The intersectional groups that are louder and prouder are blazoned all over the place, and men that are 80% of the suicides in this country, who even knew they had a month dedicated to their mental health? Just saying. Some don't talk about them because they ain't got any.
Yeah.
Some people don't talk about their feelings because they don't have any feelings. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. You got a good point there.
Well, sometimes men go numb too, I think, right? Like they kind of shut that part of themselves off, I think.
It's a defense mechanism. It absolutely is. When you've been beaten up enough, you just, okay, whatever. Pain don't hurt anymore after a while. you know? But, Hapla from the dilithium mines. Yeah, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. We are just kind of winding it down for the night, so I would hope you'd go back and catch the show again from the beginning, because I think this was a good one. I think this is one that really needs to be talked about. Look, I am just a dude talking on the internet. I don't have any degrees. I don't have any licenses. I am not a healthcare professional, even though I, did major in psychology in college. That's not the field I ended up going into. But I don't have any big answers. I am raising more questions. And if you disagree with anything I said tonight, that's fine. You can all, if you're hearing this on the replay, leave a comment. Let's open up a dialogue, because honestly, it's the only thing that I see that can really help. But no, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, though, Matt Cheatwood. Life experience is a thing. That's another part of what I had hoped this channel would be. I don't have any kids, to share any small modicum of wisdom that I may have accumulated. So I figure I'll spew it out on the internet, and maybe it'll do somebody some good. But any other thoughts on this topic before we wrap it up, Boomer?
No, Curtis had a nice comment. This was a great stream. Yeah, let us know if you want us to do this again sometime. We could do another thing like this. Yeah.
I do have a question out to Tony, if maybe he'd like to come back in November for International Men's Day.
Yeah, there you go.
And all I can say is, for all my guy friends out there, I appreciate you.
That's a huge thing. I think a lot of men definitely don't feel appreciated. I think that's the biggest part. There's so much focus on what you didn't do, and what you did wrong, and not enough thank yous for what you did do, or what you tried to do, or what you're trying to do.
Yeah, sometimes it's also good to give people a compliment once in a while if they do the right thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And happy birthday to Tim Hayes.
I think this is like the umpteenth time that, happy birthday. I did not know. Congratulations, 47.
Still a youngin'.
I think I've mentioned the Dadvocate like a dozen times tonight, but one of the things she points out is just because he doesn't do it the way you want him to do it doesn't mean he's doing it wrong. Remember, he lives there too. And maybe he's doing it the way he wants it done. And if he does some chore and you don't think he did it right, don't redo it. Just leave it the hell alone. If he folds all of the towels and puts them away and you don't like the way they look and you take them out and refold them, that double dumbass on you. First you've insulted him and told him your effort wasn't worthwhile to me.
Yep.
And you've wasted your own damn time with something that was done already. Get over your OCD and move on.
Yeah, I figured out a long time ago, let Troy fold the towels however he wants to fold them, which I think is in half and then half again. Whereas I try to fold mine, but it's like, to each his own. And they're towels. Who flippin' cares? Who cares how he loads the dishwasher? As long as the dishes get clean, who cares?
I stopped matching socks. I realized that most of my socks were, all of one kind. So I would just stack them up. And I'd take the next two,
So in other words, I can say, don't listen to Troy. He doesn't even match his socks properly.
I guess.
Okay.
Or you could say that since I have 25 pair of the exact same socks, they're all matched. Any two that I pick.
Do you ever lose a sock or one gets damaged and then you hold on to it as a spare for another one? that loses its other half.
Unfortunately, I hold on to socks until I've gone all the way through the bottoms. And yes, I eventually will throw away 2 ruined socks, assuming that, I'm keeping an even number of them.
Yeah, it's like, since I'm usually the one folding the laundry, it's like when I notice he's starting to get low, it's like, okay, time to order more. Or he'll tell me, because I may not see how many he's got. Like, I'll just see whatever was in the hamper and wash those. And it's like, okay, I got, 4 pairs of socks here or whatever. I may not realize that's all he has. So he goes, yeah, this is all I got. I'm like, okay, I'll order more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Curtis Selby says his dog chews his socks. I still believe that washing machines and dryers eat socks too. That's why there's always an odd sock out. It's like, wait, I never get rid of one sock. I get rid of them in pairs. So why am I missing a sock? Mark says, I can tell you stories from my childhood that would make all of your hair stand on end, if I had any. In spite of it, I turned out okay and stronger. Yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's absolutely true. So what do we got coming up this week? I guess the next thing we got coming up is on Netter's Network. Saturday movie night, Netter. What are we watching?
We are watching the original Doctor Strange from 1978 or 79.
Yep.
Vintage.
So no CGI capes wiping away his
None of that
tears or
nonsense.
Yeah.
None of this nonsense.
It was made for
Real
television
honest
film.
to goodness.
Yeah, you didn't know that there was a Doctor Strange back in the 70s, did you? We're gonna be watching.
Does he fight Gene Simmons of Kiss? Is he like the villain?
That would be awesome. That would be awesome, but no, he doesn't. No, he fights the woman from what was that show?
The Bionic Woman.
No. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Is that it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll look it up before tomorrow. We'll talk about it because you're going to see her and be like, oh, that's, in 30 years, that's so-and-so.
Is she like an evil witch or something?
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Okay, so that is Saturday. Sunday, of course, is the deleted scenes channel, all deleted scenes all the time. Starting with, and I'm sure he's going to be dropping in here what he's got going on. He's got the Western Cinema at 3 Central, 4 Eastern. He's got Unscripted at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Then, of course, we're on to Geeky Geezers. What are we going to be looking at on Sunday, Age of Boomer?
We got a lot to talk about. I wasn't expecting it to be as much, but it's divided, I think, between, we have other topics, but the big two are Nintendo, because Nintendo finally had their Nintendo Direct this week. And I'll reminisce about the Super Nintendo to try and educate Troy here about what the Super Nintendo was all about. I did the Sega Genesis on the good old days, but not the Super Nintendo, so we'll do the Super Nintendo this week. And we're also going to talk about Disney, which
we have a lot of Disney news.
Had a big hit with the box office.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why. We'll be examining that.
Yep.
And also the fact that they're getting sued, and they'll probably be having other lawsuits.
James O'Keefe dropped a bombshell, and he's got more to come, and the Acolytes kind of blowing up in their face. We will talk about that as well. Want to say hi and good night to Dead Man Walking 55, who will be sitting down with Netter and I on a future Thursday in the very near future. Okay, so that's Geeky Geezers. That leads us into, of course, the end of our weekend with Deleted Scenes, The Other Side of Midnight. That's midnight Eastern Time, a little bit after 11 p.m. Central Time. Monday night at the movies. I haven't decided on movies for Monday yet. I
gave him an idea for one, but he's still mulling it over.
Yeah, I'm still mulling it over. We'll be talking about that. So make sure you keep an eye on the channel and hit that notification bell and see what what movies I will be playing on Monday Night at the Movies. Welcome, Stephen Ernest. So glad you are here. We are just wrapping up, so you might want to Memorex it, rewind to the beginning.
Yes.
So Tuesday, all of us here on the channel, along with deleted scenes in the chat there, we will be on live from Sparkwood and 21. That is our weekly Twin Peaks, oftentimes rewatch, deep dive discussion. We are wrapping up our hiatus. We had finished season 2, so now we are in the see you in 25 years period that we all languished in, hoping for more Twin Peaks. We last week watched, or this past week I should say, we watched Fire Walk with Me along with The Missing Pieces. So over 3 hours of film on Tuesday night. This week we will be looking at some of the memorabilia from Twin Peaks. I have much of it. I will be showing it on camera. And Netter and I will be talking about our time at the Twin Peaks Fest in Snoqualmie, North Bend, Washington. And we'll be showing you some pictures of our various years there. And we will start looking forward to the following week, where we will begin our dive into Season 3, Twin Peaks: The Return. So that is Tuesday. Do we know about anything on a Wednesday?
Nothing Wednesday this week.
Okay. Thursday, Netter. Thursday things. What are we doing on Thursday?
Well, my special guest from Thursday wasn't able to make it due to a scheduling conflict, so she will, though, however, be on my channel this upcoming Thursday. That'll be Alon Carter. She's a former Playboy playmate for all you guys out there. She's also the stepdaughter of one of the Temptation. Oh, one bio I saw said stepdaughter, so okay. Well, as far as I'm concerned, daughter. So she's the daughter of one of the Temptations. I mean, I grew up on the Temptations, so right there, she's right there in my book because I love the Temptations.
She's a musician herself. She's an actress.
She's danced on the Soul Train.
Yes, she has. Yes, she has.
Those of you who remember Cornelius and the Soul Train.
Yep.
That was opposite of American Bandstand back in the day. So it's like I used to watch them both.
Yeah. Oh gosh. In fact, there was. Oh man, I'm tempted to do a watch of The Return of Bruno. Don Cornelius guested. It was this mockumentary that Bruce Willis did called The Return of Bruno, and think of it as like a fake history of a fictional character, very much in the same vein as Forrest Gump, right? And so there was a number of famous people that were like interviewed about this
Bruno
fictional character, Bruno Radellini, played by Bruce Willis. And so you'll have like Grace Slick or Gene Simmons, talking about, their encounters with him. Elton John says something about, I remember that Bruno gave me this great advice. He said everything in excess, exactly.
I can see him saying that.
And and even Dick Clark, does a mock-up of himself doing what was Dick Clark's show? A Bandstand. So he's got like a wig and stuff, and he's interviewing the audience and stuff, and everyone's so excited about Bruno appearing on the, and he and his band are dressed like kind of like the Beatles. But the best was Don Cornelius on Soul Train. Or no, maybe it wasn't. It was a fictionalized. I don't think they were able to call it Soul Train because of a rights issue. So they came up with another fictional show, and he introduced Bruno with the mighty Temptations. And,
awesome.
Oh, it's great. That might be the one that maybe I should find a way to. I'll do that in another Bruce Willis movie for Monday. I think that's what. So. Long story short, Netter, Alon Carter, come check that out on Thursday, and that'll bring us around to next week. And I don't know what our topic will be next week. I'm sure it won't be as weighty as it is tonight. I will aim for it to be much more fun. And
I think you should talk about your favorite drink recipes.
Well, that's not a bad idea. How about all of you that are still here, you go ahead and drop a comment either here in the chat or down below. And let me know if you would have an interest in me talking booze next week. I could probably do that.
That could be a thing, yeah.
I got my reference books right here.
Yeah, and the Carnival wagon rolls at 9 Central.
Exactly right. And may the light forever shine upon us. There you go. So, man, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Any last words, Boomer, on this topic or anything else that you think needs to be brought up?
No, just I know it's a little hectic out there with all the bad news coming out. Just find the thing you love and hold on to it, and stay in that good place if you can. There you go.
Yep. Just building on that, we talk a lot here about owning social media. Look, guys, if there's something you love, make sure you have it on your shelf so that they can't, alter it and change it in streaming services and stuff. And, Oh, is the return of Bruno on YouTube? There you go. I'll mention that next week, but I will also make sure to have it up on Cosme as well. But yeah. Own physical media. They can never take it away from you, and they can never re-edit it. And swap out the washing machine for a pizza box. Netter, any last thoughts? Any last words?
Well, again, I want to thank everyone who sent prayers, well wishes, good thoughts my way for taking my exam. For anyone who didn't hear me when I was talking about it, there was 120 questions on the exam. I had 4 hours to take it, which zoomed by. I mean, I literally answered the last question in the last 2 seconds. I had to get 80% or better to pass, which would be 96 questions correct. I got 90 correct, so just off by 6 questions. But I think I did really well, and for my company, it wasn't a requirement for me to pass. They just wanted me to have the experience. But I really don't think that I would have gotten as high a score as I did without those prayers, good thoughts, well wishes, and everything that you guys were sending my way. So thank you so much for that. I'm pretty proud of myself for that I got 90 out of 120 right.
Excellent.
So that's not bad, especially about a subject I know nothing about.
Curtis, I just found out today, as I was going through, things like who's the moderators on the channel and who are my members. I'm starting to look more at the analytics and the back room type stuff. I realized that there's super moderators, there's moderators, and there is a level where your regulars, people like the people you see all the time. Oh, okay, I know him. He's okay. If he's gonna share a link, it's gonna be okay. You can make them a trusted. What is it? A trusted member or trusted guest or something like that. I don't remember what it's called. So that you can drop links and stuff like that. I'm looking into that to make sure I start adding more of my regulars for that purpose. I have a confession. I've been bit by the vinyl bug last week. just buying one out of curiosity.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. It could get very expensive, but just remember, you don't have to buy all new stuff. You could find a lot of stuff in secondhand stores.
Also, if you wait till on Black Friday, sometimes like places
yeah.
have sales where you could like buy two get one or something like that for free. You know.
But anyway, that's it for me. Did you want to finish it off, Netter?
Yes, I can. Give me one sec. There it is. Oh, I gotta say something to one person, then I can. And hopefully I haven't missed anybody. People have been saying good job in the chat. I've been trying to respond with the heart.
I know, you're
If I missed
sweet.
anybody, know that I'm sending you a big heart.
Absolutely.
Every stream I always say pretty much the same thing. It varies a little bit, but it's pretty much the same thing. But I'm not just saying it to say it. It's not just, here's an ending, here's my outro. I mean what I'm saying here. We can talk amongst ourselves, and yeah, it's fun to just chat with friends, in the panel. But it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat. Yep. And you're dropping those comments, questions, trivia, you're being goofy, whatever it may be. I mean, sometimes you guys will put in a comment that'll just have us cracking up, and it's like this total off-topic thing that's like, wait, what's going on?
Right.
And, and it's just fun to see stuff like that. And you guys, you're not just our friends. You are our family. You can be anywhere right now, and you're here. And that means a lot to us, and, I didn't say it in the earlier part, but, it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents. It feels like we're hanging out in the same room. We're just enjoying each other's company. We're having a great time. I love hanging out with you guys. I love seeing you guys in each of our streams, the way that you not only encourage us, but encourage everybody in the chat. If we have any newcomers, you guys are so warm and welcoming. So thank you all for that. Thank you for being a part of our family.
Yep.
And I hope to see you tomorrow night over on my stream for Doctor Strange, the original. We will have a Cosme link provided for those of you who probably have no idea what this movie is. But until then, good night and God bless.
By the time we're done with it, you might be wondering what the hell it is.
Yeah. And again, thank you for all the prayers, well wishes, and good vibes you guys sent my way.
Yep, absolutely. Guys, I've been saying this more and more frequently because I'm realizing more and more how true it is. Guys, I could not do this without you. I mean, the members, the super chats, that definitely helps, but all of it falls under the umbrella of encouragement. When I see, and this is going to happen as soon as we end, I'm going to go do a little scrolling through the social media and stuff, and I'm going to see a whole bunch of you guys have shared out the stream. That encourages the heck out of me. I see how many people thumbsed it up. That encourages me. I super appreciate it. And all the comments, everything you guys do encourages me. And as long as you keep doing that, I'll keep doing what I'm doing, because it tells me you're enjoying it enough that you want to keep engaging. That's really community. We talk about, community. Community is a group of people, trying to build a relationship together. And guys, you guys have done that. And it's not me, it's you guys. So I want to thank you guys all so much for that. Super appreciate it. And I'm going to be, I just want to call out, I won't do this every week, but I just want to let everybody know, I got new credits, and hope you'll check them out at least this first time. So good night, everyone. Have a great one, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.